Hi there. Today we are looking at multiplying positive and negative numbers. We already know that any positive number multiplied by another positive number gives us a positive number. For instance, 2 times 3 is 6, 3 times 4 is 12, 5 times 4 is 20. So any positive number times by another positive number will result in a positive number. But what if we multiply a positive number by a negative number? For instance, I want to multiply 2 by minus 3. You remember that 2 times any number means you're adding that number twice. So 2 times minus 3 will be the same as minus 3 plus minus 3. And we already learned that minus 3 plus minus 3 is the same as minus 3 minus 3. And that will give us minus 6 if you go by on your number line. If you apply minus 3 on your number line starting from minus 3 and moving to the left by 3 will give you minus 6. Similarly, 3 times minus 4 means you got to add minus 4 to itself by 3 times. Minus 4 plus minus 4 plus minus 4. And again, adding a negative number is the same as subtracting. So that becomes minus 4, and minus 4. So minus 4, and minus 4. Minus 4, minus 4, again on the number line, it becomes minus 8. And minus 4, the third minus 4 is here. So we applied minus 4, we ended up with minus 8. And this third minus 4 is there. Now again, if you move on the number line starting from minus 8 and moving to the left by 4, you will get to minus 12. So this leads us to an important rule. If I'm timesing a positive number by a negative number, I am going to get a negative number. So 3 times 4 is 12. But because one of them, which is 4, is minus 4, that makes the answer minus 12. Similarly, we can now conclude that 5 times minus 4 will be minus 20. And the general rule is a positive number times by a negative number is equal to a negative number. Now let's look at a case where the first number is negative and the second number is positive and we are multiplying them together. For instance, I have minus 2 times by 3. The first number is negative, the second number is positive. But you know that when multiplying, the order does not matter. So I can switch the place of 3 and minus 2. I get 3 times minus 2. And based on what we learned here, a positive number times a negative number will give us a negative number. So 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. And similarly, if I'm timesing minus 3 by 4, I can switch their places. That becomes 4 times minus 3. And again, based on what we learned here, a positive number times a negative number is a negative number. So I will end up with minus 12. And the same applies for minus 5 to 4, which will give me minus 20. Then the rule we have here, again, a negative number times a positive number will give us a negative number. The more interesting case is when both of the numbers are negative. So I'm timesing a negative number by a negative number. What that would be. To start working on that, you got to remember that minus 1 times 6 is the same as minus 6 based on what we learned here. Negative times positive is negative. So minus 1 is negative and I'm timesing by 6, which is positive. So a negative times positive gives me a negative. And 1 times 6 is 6. So my final answer is minus 6. All right, let's have a look at minus 2 times by minus 3. Based on what we discussed here, I can replace minus 2 with minus 1 times 2. So this bracket altogether is minus 2. Then times by minus 3. And again, when I'm timesing 3 numbers together, I can times them in any order I want. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to times 2 by minus 3 first. I put them in bracket. Then I times the answer by minus 1. So 2 times minus 3 first and then minus 1. And then that becomes minus 1, and the bracket, I'm having a positive number times a negative number. And a positive number times a negative number gives me a negative number. So that would have been minus 6. Minus 1 times by minus 6. And we said that when you timesing any number by a negative one, it switches its sign. That is important to notice that here. So when you timesing minus 1 by any number, it changes its sign. So minus 1 here changed to minus 6. So then when I've got minus 1 times minus 6, I can write this as minus minus 6, which becomes 6, because minus minus 6 is 6. So that leads us again to an important rule, that a negative number times a negative number will give us a positive number. So minus 3 times minus 4 will be the same as 3 times 4, which is 12. Because both of them are negative, the answer will be positive. Minus 5 times minus 6 will give us 30. Again, both of them are negative, and we are timesing them together. That gives us a positive number. And to summarize, when you multiplying, if both numbers have the same sign, if both of them are positive and both of them are negative, you're going to end up with a positive answer. If the two numbers have different signs, one is negative and one positive, it doesn't matter which one it is. If the signs are different, your answer will be negative. Thank you for watching.